Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Obsessed Auto Reviews. Almost forgot the name of my own damn channel. Sorry I haven't posted much lately. It's been a minute. Things been coming up, but we still have content made for you guys. Today, we are going to look at the 2020/21 Honda HR-V. Now the Honda HR-V, a lot of people don't know, it was actually out a long time ago. And when I say a long time, the first gen started in 1999. And when it first came out, the HR-V nameplate, in case you've ever wondered, stood for High Rider Revolutionary Vehicle. And when you look at pictures of the first one, I guess the name fits it to a T. Anyways, now when Honda brought this back in 2015, I believe, for the second generation, it made good news, right? The subcompact crossovers, they were getting more popular. SUVs were getting more and more popular. I think the whole segment started basically in the mid-2010s. But before I get going on this review, big thank you to Honda West of Alberta, Calgary, Alberta, for giving us access to this vehicle. Without them, we couldn't have made this film slash video slash mini movie, whatever you want to call it. Their link is in the description below in case you want to look at any HR-Vs or anything else on their lot. Now, let's get going with this review. Alright guys, so we're going to start off with what's under the hood. So when this thing first came out, it was based on the Honda Fit platform, and it used a Honda Civic engine, not from this generation, from the previous generation. And because of that, that engine was pretty lackluster. It was pretty underpowered in my opinion. But this was never made to be anything that, you know, gets you going. It's made to be your cheapest way into a Honda SUV. So if you're looking for a Honda SUV specifically and you want the cheapest route possible, the HR-V is where you start. Now, talking about that engine, back then, this was and still is, oh, the video's going down. All right, we got Benji, mind holding the camera a little bit? Side, all right. Oh my God. God damn it, bro. Bruh. Sorry for the delay. We got cameraman Benji over here, and I'm doing some babysitting. I got my little brother behind me trying to hide there. Anyways, talking about that engine, we had that 1.8 liter 4-cylinder engine. Now get ready for the numbers, they're gonna blow your mind. We had 141 horsepower, 127 pound-feet of torque engine in this thing. I know, low numbers, they seem like they shouldn't be on a vehicle that's in 2020, but you know what, this is 5 years in the making now. The HR-V, it had the facelift done to it, as Honda usually does after 2-3 years. And usually after another 2-3 years, they're gonna go in with a whole new generation. So expect a new HR-V coming in pretty quick. I think within the 2-year mark is, and that's on the high end as well. Now, that engine was made it originally to a front-wheel drive. Back in the days in 2015, you can get a front-wheel drive and a 6-speed manual. Now I don't believe they offer that, but you have all-wheel drive optional as well. Now moving on back to the front end, I think overall, looking at the entire vehicle all around over and over again, I was trying to find what the best angle was, at least in my opinion, and I think that belongs to the front end. I think the front end definitely is the nicest portion of this entire vehicle, especially after they did the facelift, because before the facelift it looked pretty conservative, but with the facelift they had more of a aggressive sporty looking design. They had that dark chrome front grille going on. They had LED lights available. You had a daytime LED daytime running light, and then on higher trims you had full LED headlights, including low beam, high beam, and your turn signals. Crazy on an HR-V too. But competition is getting more and more fierce, so that's what they gotta have. You can see all the wheel well arches, the front lower bumper and the rear lower bumper area. It's all body colored. If you get anything like a sport trim level or something, that would be a gloss black appearance. I think the full body colored matching sides in front and back definitely look much better compared to The black, I think the black, especially because it's a glossy black, it'll get beaten up and scratched up easily too. So let's move on to the wheels on the side. Talking about the side and the wheels. Talking about the side first. I don't know if Honda made this the way it is or it's just a coincidence, but the ride height of this HRV is 6.69 inches. Nice. Now talking about the wheels, they're okay looking wheels. I'm not the biggest fan of them. Every wheel option you had on every trim level, or every trim level had the wheel, a 215 series 17-inch wheel, which it's okay. I mean, for the size of the vehicle, I guess it's a 17-inch wheel for a 215 series. It's okay. It's a little bit on the smaller side, but we are good to go. Now, the side profile has a fairly nice, pretty nice looking side profile, in my opinion, for a compact SUV. The cool thing what they did when it came out in 2015 was for the rear doors, they kind of hid the door handle, because you'll see those lines are basically going up where the door handles would be, the side body lines, and then a smart way to cover it up was put it right in between where the C pillar would be, and that's what they did. At first, everybody was like, hey, how do I get in? But I'm sure after a week of ownership, your passengers, if they're riding back there often, they will get used to it. Other than that, I'm gonna move on to the back. So moving on to the rear end, we had combination tail lights. Your brake lights were LEDs, and then your turn signals or reverse were halogens. You know, the lights are the only thing I think they didn't refresh when it came to, because Honda usually either darkens out their lenses or something like that, but the rear tail lights, they didn't really do too much to it. But this is an SUV, and we always want to see how much space we got going on, right? So when you open up that rear hatch, you had quite a bit of space to go through. How much is quite a bit? Well, quite a bit is 23 cubic feet with the seats up, which is okay, right? Nothing too much for an SUV at least. When you fold down the seats though, you get 57.7 cubic feet of storage. That is quite a bit. You can fit a lot. And the cool thing is you can always, if you don't want to put the seats down, you can lift them up, the seat bottoms on the rear seats here. I'll show you that in a little bit here. And you have more storage. So it's a creative little SUV where you can have different ways to store different things and different size of items. We're all down the outside. We're going to move on to the inside. And since we're driving it, I'll do a little acceleration test here for you. I already mentioned the engine numbers here. Nothing to get wooed by. It's made to a CVT transmission as well. So, are you ready? Benji, hold on tight. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're at 40. We're at 60 kilometers an hour finally. It was really loud. That bump I got was just a little torque braking that I did, but you know, it's not meant. It's gonna get you from point A to point B. Cheapest way into a Honda SUV. This is not the Type R HRV. Maybe they'll make one day, but for what it is, I guess it's okay. Obviously, me being more of a, you know, I love driving. It'd be a pretty boring car for me to drive, and for most people. But for most of the other buyers that don't really care about that dynamic, it's a perfect vehicle for you. It's something that you really don't got to worry about when you're driving. It's good on gas. It's reliable. You know, this doesn't have a turbo engine, so it's going to last hopefully longer than most of the newer Hondas, just because of that turbo engine. What's up, Benji? Because of that turbo engine, we obviously have more to worry about, right? Now, anyways, we're on the inside. The materials used are obviously more on the lower end compared to what you would find in you know, compact crossovers or midsize. Being a subcompact, this one is a upper trim level. You have, you know, your leather stitched wheel. It's genuine leather as well. Sorry, it's not genuine leather actually. It's imitation, I believe. Anything lower, you get this rubberized plastic material on the wheel. You have your regular buttons. It is from a previous generation Honda model. All the newer Honda models have a different kind of wheel. And even the buttons and all that, you can tell it's from an older generation. For your center gauge cluster, you have your speedometer, dead center, big. You have a digital tack on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, you have a configurable screen where you can just choose between your fuel settings, your differential, and see how much power is going to each wheel. Fairly simple, straightforward. Most of it is pretty digital. Where do I even begin? This thing is once again the previous Honda Link system. Super laggy. The map is a lower quality map. Thankfully it has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay standard, so it's, you know, you don't got to worry about the nav, but it's just so laggy, man. It's just, you know, I'm really not a fan of this system. Using it daily would have me frustrated. I would rather just have none of these features and just have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and that's it. But on the bright side, you have a volume knob. You know, I gotta say it, hashtag save the knobs. That's the only knob you will find in the interior, by the way, because when you move down to your HVAC controls, you have all touch capacitive buttons, really. That's all you have. There's no knobs, there's no dials, there's no hard buttons, nothing. On the bright side, though, the touch sensitivity is much better than it is on the infotainment system. The infotainment is a joke in my opinion, but the entire HVAC controls, they're much more responsive no matter how much I, you know, move around and fiddle around with it, and even if I'm doing ridiculous things with it, it's moving and being pretty responsive. The same thing with when you move on to below the HVAC controls. You have a traditional transmission selector. I'm glad this one doesn't have any buttons, but I'm assuming next generation upper trim levels will probably get that. You do have the floating center console design that's really popular nowadays in a lot of vehicles, and below your upper console here you have a couple of USBs, a USB, and a power outlet as well, with some storage as well. You have imitation stitching along that floating center console. Decent place to pad your knee onto. It is padded, softly injection molded plastic. You move on below that, you have your electronic parking brake hold button, a couple cup holders, and then a little bit of a storage cubby as well. Now, I'm going to show you how I fit in these front seats. Check that out. All right, guys, we're going to jump in to the passenger seat. Now, strictly talking about just space, storage, I'm pretty comfortable here. Lots of knee room, lots of leg room, quite a bit of headroom. Actually, I take that back. I have maybe about an inch and a half. In the back, it's worse. Pretty decent space to be in. You have faux stitching across here, soft touch plastic as well. Decent sized glove box, bangs into your knees a little bit. But other than that, I mean, you have a decent amount of space. You have a cup holder and a little storage area for some snacks in your door pocket. You have nice leather stitched door panel upper portion at least. And then the bottom portion here, this looks like leather, but it's more of a rubberized kind of plastic feeling type of material. Power window, no automatic up or down. Other than that though, you have something pretty individual actually. Something I'd never seen before. You have 3 individual vents here. Usually there's 2, but Honda just gave you a whole slot of these things over here. So that's pretty cool. Other than that, everything else is pretty driver-centric focused. But I'm gonna hop into the back seat. I'm gonna show you how the rear room looks like. All right, everybody, time to check out the rear seating area. Wow. Close the door so it's less windy. First things first, I'm 6'1". I have barely any headroom, and these headrests are really in the way. Ugh. So I have to have this up pretty much max height. Now I have the front seat set where I'll be pretty comfortable at. I have decent amount of knee room, decent amount of leg room as well, and it's just the headroom. I would say it's definitely pretty cramped, especially because it's a subcompact. The roof line goes back down as well. One cool thing that I love about the rear seats is how versatile this is. This might be a small SUV, but you have lots of storage options. These seats can go right up, and look at all this space you opened up. Both sides can do that, and one side could be down and the other's up, or vice versa. Now, it's a great way for it to utilize more space. One thing I do miss though, there's really just one power outlet down here, no other USBs, one cup holder. You have a center fold down armrest. I usually am raving about how comfortable the Honda rear armrest is, but this one's pretty hard, not gonna lie, it's tougher. But other than that, you have the same leather trimmed surface for the rear area too. Leather on the back, pockets just on the passenger side, nothing on the driver's side. Your door panel, stitched leather on top portion. and then it goes to hard touch plastic down here, which is expected. So overall, it's definitely competitive compared to most SUVs, because it could be worse, but it also could be better, and there are a little bit better SUVs out there that have a little bit more space in the back too. So, all right, so you just saw how I experienced myself back over there. Yeah, it is on the puny side. The only thing I really just, I don't understand what's going on in the back is, as soon as you step inside, if you are not a child, you're gonna feel those back headrests just on your shoulders in an uncomfortable spot, and you got to turn around and really lift them up. And yeah, I don't know what they got going on back there, but you know, the trend is that SUVs are getting bigger and bigger and bigger every generation. You know, a current generation CR-V is probably the same size, if not bigger, than a first gen Pilot, and that's just the facts, I guess. People want more space, so even the subcompact crossover segment is definitely going to be much bigger. How could we end this video without talking about pricing? One of the biggest things, right? Pricing, if not the most important thing, is usually a top 3 decision-making factor for a lot of people, because at the end of the day, especially now when there's a pandemic going on, hopefully they don't demonetize me. Psych, I'm not even monetized, they can't do that. So especially in a pandemic, pricing cost matters more than anything nowadays. It's one of the most important things in my opinion. Now the HR-V, here in Canada at least, the base model, the LX, the front wheel drive LX, starts at just over $26,000. That seems like quite a bit of money, but once again, in Canada everything is more expensive than it is in the States, just because of the conversion rates and blah 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 blah. But if you want to get the highest trim level, which we're in right now, the Touring all-wheel drive, it is available for just over $34,000. $34,000. Now, you know, with numbers like that, you're gonna have to think, really, is 34K is quite a bit of money for a vehicle like this. Of course, it brings its value in, but how much more of a vehicle can you get for $34,000 in the pre-owned market for maybe a 3, 4, 5-year-old CR-V or something like that? Maybe even a pre-facelift current gen CR-V, you can get that around that price tag, right? So thanks for watching this review. We appreciate it. We appreciate Ben, the cameraman, here, for holding up to the camera. Thank you to my little brother for joining in, helping make some shots. We will catch you in the next video. Man, I swear to God. Anyways, we hope you enjoy the video. Please do hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button. Let us know what you thought about the HR-V and what vehicle you want to see coming up. Have a good rest of your day, your morning, your evening, whatever you're doing. We'll catch you in the next video. Peace.